Many times we as men will sit back and will be killed by our problems, will be depressed and will sit down and in those lonely bars and those lonely nights out, and you think to yourself about how to get out of a problem when actually the solution sleeps next to you every day and it has everything you need.
So you
but
could
your
talk
only
to your
problem
wife.
is exactly your only problem is your ego is too big.
What are some of the tips that your mother gave you on how to manage a lady?
My mom told me to handle them with respect in a way that you are not belittling yourself, but in a way that you're also allowing them to express themselves freely and show them that you're understanding and listening and allowing them to enter your personal space. You must also be careful that not all ladies come with good intentions. No matter how beautiful she is, no matter how much she has expressed herself to you in a way that delivers her as a very orderly person, you must not look only at the surface. You must go deeper into seeing.
Hey guys, welcome to On The Board Podcast. My name is Francis and welcome to this beautiful episode. Now today's episode is a special episode, I should say, because I am going to be holding a conversation with a very interesting young man. The premise of this conversation is from a narrative that is not new, largely due to, women emancipation, which is a right cause to, bridge the gap for the fact that for the longest time women were marginalized and now they're trying to, take what is theirs. The boy child has been left out on his own, and the question always that has been asked is who is going to shape the boy child that the girl child that has been properly brought up or shaped going to interact with. So the premise of this conversation is around that area, but most importantly is also around this book. This book is titled Dear Son. Dear Son is a small handbook a handbook for men written by Miriam Kamate Ndianabo. Miriam Kamate Ndianabo is a mother and a friend to more than 1,000 boys who have gone through her hands. Miriam's short writings are carved from some of her findings during her several interactions with boys. As a teacher and a leader in a number of institutions where she managed the human resource component, there she realized the need to strengthen the pillar that was weakening in as far as nurturing the boy child is concerned. To date, Miriam has been invited to more than 100 audiences to share her thoughts on raising a great man. Madam Miriam, thanks for doing a good job. Madam Miriam is also a friend of mine that I met a few years ago. She's a very interesting lady. And with me today, I'm with Hassan, who is going to be introducing himself shortly. Welcome to this episode of the podcast.
Thank you, Francis.
What's your name, my son?
My name is Mujiche Chief Cedric.
Your name is Mujichi. Chief Mujichi?
Mujiche.
Mujichi. What does Mujichi mean?
Means remember him.
Okay. Interesting. So you're still at school?
Yeah, right now I'm going to my first year at university. I'll be doing software engineering.
Where?
Strathmore University.
You're a what?
I wouldn't pride myself on that, but you need to be one to survive.
Definitely. So in short, you're a smart man.
Yeah, hopefully, yes.
I mean, take the flowers, Greg.
Yeah.
You're a smart guy. Interesting. So I spoke to you when I was having a small conversation with your mom.
Yeah.
Of course, I first met your mom when I'd gone on an assignment at British British School of what?
Kampala.
Yeah, British School of Kampala, which is an international school.
Yeah.
So when I spoke to her, she told me she had a son there, and that was you. But again, upon having deeper conversation, she told me that after your which one is called, how do you call the senior 4 at international?
Year 11. Exactly.
After year 11, you decided to leave.
Yeah.
To go to a school that is not international.
Yeah.
Why? course, man. That's where I would love to be, man. Like for my entire period of school, like high school.
The school was very good. Don't get me wrong. I did not leave because I didn't like the school.
Okay.
There were some factors in my time and my education there that were derailing my studies. Because first of all, the school was very far from home.
Okay.
That meant I would have to wake up very early in the morning and then have to get into the road and avoid jam, which would enable us to reach school in time. But then again, in the afternoons along Ginger Road, the jam was very, very bad.
So it was
very
hectic for you.
to move back, so you'd get back home and very exhausted. Reading time was never there, and there were very many other social factors involved. But majorly, the major purpose I left was so that I had no interruptions in terms of my A levels,
Okay.
so that I could produce the best and make my family proud.
I think you're already making them proud, considering you got 17, man, and you're going to do software engineering in Strathmore in Kenya. It's also an international school, right?
Yeah, it's an international university.
Man, I'm wishing you luck, huh?
Thank you.
Going there. And do you have a girlfriend?
No, I don't have a girlfriend.
Would you cheat?
Not yet.
Not yet, eh? Yeah, I think right about now. How old are you?
I'm 18 years old.
It's time for you to focus on, on books, and then those will come
Yeah,
later.
the things will come in after.
Definitely. The reason as to why your mom actually allowed me to speak to you on this podcast is because I think, reading from our conversation, she felt you had something to say that would benefit the boy child.
Yeah, most of the time growing up with my mom, my relationship with her has been a very free relationship, so we interact a lot. So in many of her times with me when we're alone, we share deeply about things that she feels about very many situations in her life, about men, about boys. And many times she will try to encourage me and give me a few tips on how to manage myself in people, what women don't like, what people perceive as annoying, what people perceive as disgusting, and what people would not want you to do as a man. And many times we've been left alone as a boy child to pursue our lives and find out on our own what we must and mustn't do. And sometimes, though most of us are very successful, there's a tiny bit that is always left out, and some things go unspoken that affect our lives in the remaining part of our journeys. And then these small things become bigger things and impact on families. So most of the time, she's been trying to nurture me in a way that I see these small, tiny gaps that are always left behind, and enable myself to avoid making many mistakes that have been made by other men, some known to her, some that she has heard of.
What are some of the mistakes that you think, these tiny bits you say?
Yeah.
How have these conversations with your mom helped you, be more self-aware about these small loopholes, and have you been able to maneuver and impact on your life as a person?
Many times we have perceived ourselves as the superior sex.
Men.
Most of the times we use our masculinity as men to put women down. We think we must achieve more than them because we ought to, and society brings it in a way that we must be more achieving than the girl child. Most of the time we feel like we must be more powerful than them. Our voice must be more audible and heard than theirs, and that theirs does not count in opposition to ours. Most of the time you belittle a girl and you say she does not need to do that sport, or you watch a sport on the TV and it's being played by women and you'll be like, that's not as good as the men. Not false all the time, but also need not be said it's not true. We belittle the female sex way too many times, and it goes untalked about, and it affects people. Many times people will sit and think to themselves that they are more powerful, they have power in their hands. That's why sometimes in situations you'll see a man not wanting to be corrected by a woman in public because it makes him feel smaller, a man not wanting to be talked about or called out on his wrong side by a woman because she apparently doesn't understand what he's going through or what he's talking about, which in many cases these women are very observant and they too have a voice and they too should be heard on what they think is wrong. So when someone calls you out, be it a man or a lady, I think it should be taken in the same equal weight because both are vigilant and both see the same thing that the other sees. Though in most cases we've been taught that we as men have power in a way that we should not take anything from women. We should not allow to be criticized by women. We should not allow to be overtaken by women in any field, be it sports, be it academics, or at our workplaces. And many times we miss out on some of the beautiful aspects that they bring to our lives. Many times you'll find a girl doing something and you're like, wow, you're really good at it. And you can't believe she's really good at it only because you've been groomed in a way that shows you that you must be better than them in all these things. So it comes as a shock, which I think shouldn't come as a shock. And then many of the times we've heard of relationships going sour, marriages and all those things. So many times she'll sit me down and talk to me about how to manage a lady.
Let me first stop you there.
Yes.
What are some of the tips that your mother gave you on how to manage a lady?
My mom told me to handle them with respect in a way that you are not belittling yourself, but in a way that you're also allowing them to express themselves freely and show them that you're understanding and listening and allowing them to enter your personal space. You must also be careful that not all ladies come with good intentions, no matter how beautiful she is, no matter how much she has expressed herself to you in a way that delivers her as a very orderly person. You must not look only at the surface. You must go deeper into seeing how does she relate with her friends, what kind of family does she come from, how does she dress in public, how does she present herself to her peers and all those things. So once you put them into consideration, you can't miss when it comes to meeting a great lady. Many times most of the downfalls we've seen in relationships are due to a man being taken over by the physical appearance of a lady and the initial first impression, because he's only looking at the physical
impression of the lady
and he's completely gone and astonished by what he's seeing. But in terms of the search for quality in what she brings to the table, and when you finally get to know her deeply, you have totally missed in terms of that acquisition.
But did they say that you shouldn't ask a lady what she brings on the table because she's the table?
Yeah, that's, I think, a misconception. Though most of the men would also never, I don't know, they wouldn't brush that off, because in our society we've been groomed in a way that a man must provide, a man must give everything for his family, which is not wrong. But in this case, we're leaving the girl child out, and it brings him out in a way that they begin to perceive themselves as the weaker people in the relationships and the people who don't provide, which in most cases is not right. I've seen many mothers, like my mom herself, giving as much into the family as my dad does, sometimes even more, and supporting him and all those things. But in a situation whereby you undermine your lady and you treat her like she does not offer anything like at the table, and put her in a situation that compromises her and makes her feel smaller, even if she had the little to give, even if she had more than enough to give, she wouldn't give it, because in this case you've made it in a scenario that I'm the only one who should provide. You don't have the right to provide because I'm the man. So many times we as men will sit back and will be killed by our problems, will be depressed, and will sit down and in those lonely bars and those lonely nights out, and you think to yourself about how to get out of a problem, when actually the solution sleeps next to you every day and it has everything you need.
So you
but
could
your only
talk to your
problem
wife.
is exactly your only problem is your ego is too big that you cannot turn for help and ask for help, and that's another problem because due to the way we've been brought up, a man is not supposed to express himself in a way that he,
Yeah, because I think, I'm supposed to be the solution.
automatically everyone in this world we're going to, things get tougher and tougher. Nothing gets easier. People keep on saying economy, and it's true the economy gets worse and worse. Prices are increasing.
The economy has
It's
become
not-
worse.
Exactly. It's not a one-man game anymore. We need to work together. We need to find solidarity in a way that we do not put burden on ourselves and enable ourselves.
But
to
in a
grow as
scenario
one.
where the girl child says is a traditional kind, like I'm traditional, you have to provide as a man.
Yeah.
What do you
that's-
do? How have you been told to deal with that?
In this case, you would have to sit her down and discuss, open up to her in a way that you put all your vulnerability on the table and show her this is what I can't provide. I know many times you've been brought up in a way that expresses me as the person who is supposed to give, but in this opportunity, I need your help. So in that case, you're asking for the help and expressing all your vulnerability. And according to the woman you would have chosen, by then you should know whether this woman is going to help you and enable you, or is she going to put you down and cast you aside.
So that speaks to the values you're
That
looking
speaks
at.
to the values
Yes.
you're looking for. Because in this case, if you've looked for someone who is expressing a lot of, let me say, weakness in the way that she presents herself, in a way that she cannot help herself, and you have to provide everything, that's all going to be on you, the qualities that you went looking for. So in this case, a man who went for a woman who he can confide in, a man who went for a woman who he can tell all his problems and they look for the solutions together, is not suffering, while you who went for a woman who does not look for your flaws, who is only looking for the perfection in you, presenting yourself as someone who can handle anything that she brings to you, is seated in a corner in a bar drinking all his problems away, only to be attacked by them the next morning, and there's no way out as you're drowning and you've been caught up in the web of poverty, lies and deception, and many times that turns into a bitter kind of relationship, in a way that you put down all your frustration on a person only because they are not going through as much as you are going through. Only because you're not opening up to the person. You can't open up to the person because you've expressed yourself as someone who has
The
someone
money.
who can manage any situation, in which case, in this case, you don't and you can't. So you suppress all your emotions into, in this case, you'll start seeing the man beating the woman, the couple fighting, locking the door, kids in the other room, them in the other room, and you're just hearing hands being exchanged, someone committing suicide, and all those weird scenarios, all because someone has been brought up in a way that tells him you must provide, you must be the bigger person in the relationship, which in this case, in sometimes you're required to step up. I will not say that men are not required to step up, because you must step up, you must show what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
But in sometimes when you find yourself caught up as normal human being where things are a little bit tight, unplanned for, let's say you've had an accident or something wrong has happened and you genuinely need support, you should be able to call out to your person and tell them, look, I'm here, I'm stranded, I need your help, could you help me?
What about those guys that are watching right now and they don't have that? Wawagambashi.
I feel like you need to find a common ground with the person that you're with. Sit them down and in your own way. Then we all can do our things the same way. It doesn't have to be the same way. But in your own way, find a way of expressing yourself in a way that will not necessarily damage the image that you so much seek to protect, but in a way that enables you to open a gap or open up space for someone to intervene and allow you to fix the problem that you're going through.
Do you think... Why are you called Chief?
My mom is a very enthusiastic woman, I would say, very energetic. and she's not afraid to say what's on her heart. So when I asked her this question, and I keep asking it again to see whether I'd get a different answer, but every time I ask her, the answer is always the same. And she says when she was giving birth to me and she held me in her hands for the first time, all she was seeing was a chief, a leader, and someone who was destined to do great things.
From the conversation we're having, I don't know about you, but I feel like you're actually destined to do great things.
Thank you. Thank you, Francis.
You're speaking like an encyclopedia. What does your mom put in your head?
No,
it looks like she got like a handbook for men and just planted it inside your head.
Indirectly, she has.
So do you think you say indirectly she has cause?
In many of our interactions, let's say, if we're seated in a room together and she wants to have a conversation with me about a certain life situation that she has been in, she'll openly tell me something and I'll be like, oh wow, and she'll be like, what have you learned from what I've told you? What have you learned from what I've shared with you? And I'll tell her what I've understood, and she will tell me what she would have wanted me to pick from the lesson that she has brought about, because she'll be apart from me and she'll send me a small text about a situation where a man has done something and is not well perceived by society, and she will tell me, don't allow yourself to be caught up in such a situation. Do you see what he has done wrong? And I'll respond. If I do not see what he has done wrong, she will explain it to me. So in that way, we're building an interactive space in which we can share my weaknesses and I can share my thoughts to her, and she can enable me to work through them. So that's been our kind of relationship.
So it's a very good symbiotic relationship.
Yes.
So there's also during previous conversation we had, you said that men actually think they know what women want.
Yeah.
Based off the fact that they think that their fathers, watching what their fathers do with their mothers or dealing with their mothers, is exactly a replication that they should carry on to their partners. Yeah. And you say that's not true. Why?
Because many times I would not call it their fault, because in this case you're designed to, in the society that we grew up in, you're designed to listen to your parents. You're designed to, indirectly, even if you don't want to, you will take some traits with you that your parents have brought you up with. So if you see your father doing this and that, even if you're not specifically picking off what he's doing, some traits of what he's doing will stick to you, and you grow up knowing this is right and this is the way it should be done. And that's the way we find most of our fellow men being trapped, because you do not know that what you're doing is wrong. Because the big man who you've grown up next to all your life, the man who has led you through all your challenging situations in life, has been that kind of man to your mother. And it's not that I'm belittling that man, because those fathers really do a lot for us and enable us to grow and provide for us in all kinds of ways. But in that small aspect, in the way that they treat our mothers, is completely uncalled for and completely should be changed and should be talked about. Most of the times we don't talk about such things because our old men are feared. In this kind of African setting, you do not just go and say anything about exactly. So you have to find a way in which you do not disrespect the man who has been there for you in all your situations in life, but you pick through the different things that he could have done better and make them in a way that you will create ease for your beautiful, loving wife, in a way that you will enable your kids to inculcate good morals in themselves and know that this is what daddy does and this is what I should do, and enable them to grow in peace and harmony with themselves in order for them to take only the good traits out of your marriage with your wife.
Amazing. Yeah. So back to this book, my people. So the opening statement of this book says, "To my sons, I pray that this little book will cause you to find more meaning and clarity in life. It should also speak to you about some of the truth that there is in life, and yet most of the time the truth is not given the attention that it deserves. Sometimes some of the truth is made to feel like the obvious, It is not. We have the responsibility of teaching, sharing the truth. Some great people who attempt to share the truth do it halfway on the assumption that the boy child will find out more on his own. Not possible. Son, here is a little book with some truth that the world doesn't teach but expects you to know. So what I picked out of this small opening statement is that the main reason why Miriam Kamate Ndianabo wrote this book is because many times there's truths out there or knowledge that is like innately expected of men to have. That people assume that men will pick up these things because they are there. A man must do this, a man must do this. So by reading this book, I think it simply spells out the things that people take for granted. And as far as men, by saying that men have to know these things, just to put them in here so that men can easily access them, or boy child or whoever can have access to it. Yeah. So in my opinion, I think it's important for every parent out there, every man, to find a copy of this. It's not yet out, but when it comes out, we shall let you know, guys. And take time to read this. You see the outcome of Chief. Chief here has really challenged me. I felt like I was in a class being taught. There's a time he also spoke about. I want you to also delve deep into not accepting, not allowing ourselves to feel things as men. What has your mom taught you on that?
As a man, we are supposed, our society depicts that we are supposed to be strong, and we're supposed to get all our feelings and compress them in a way that we do not express any weakness to the other people around us, in a way that we are able to endure any kind of situation that life throws at us. But I don't think that's necessarily true, because I've seen many of my friends break down, and many of my friends hide out and completely distance themselves away from society, only because that kind of cry out is a sign of weakness, I would say, which is very wrong and completely misconceptualized, because I don't think someone crying as a normal human being should be something that's seen as wrong, especially when it's a man, because we are supposed to be the strong people, we're supposed to be the people who give the shoulder to cry on. But as human beings, who gives the men the shoulders to cry on, when even the men themselves, when we find our fellow boys crying, we're like, get up, you're a man, handle this with care, you can't just be sobbing and crying all the time. Most of the times, I will say that the outbursts and emotional outbursts are not always necessary, but once in a while, when you feel like it's too much, it's always okay to open up to someone and tell them, you know what, look, I'm in this situation in life and I don't know what to do, and I feel like things are taking me. I don't know where I'm going with this. I need your help. I need to sit down and talk. But if you have a group of friends who are in this kind of mentality that you mustn't ever cry, you mustn't ever be caught in a sign of weakness, you must never be in a place that makes you feel vulnerable in society, you'll find yourself in a deep space in which you cannot come out of the problem that you're in. And it could have only required a small talk, so you'll find a man drowning in alcohol late at night, suppressing all his emotions in that bottle and thinking that he's in a good place, but that will only be for that short, brief night. And the next morning he'll wake up with that hangover, and all those negative emotions and the feelings that he was trying to suppress all come like a bomb at once back all to you, and all your day is gone like that, and you just repeat the same cycle again and again and again every day. So I think in the case of men failing to open up to each other and other people, it creates a man who is very distant, a man who is very angry, a man who is very emotionally frustrated, and a man who is not ready for the society that he's entering into. A man who is not able to express himself. How is he going to express himself to his family? How is he going to express himself to his kids? So many times you will find distant fathers who are never home, fathers who are always out drinking, fathers who are always out with their friends, because they feel like that's the only way they can express themselves, the only way that they can keep all their problems out of the know of society, all their problems suppressed. But in this case, your family is suffering, the family is going further and further apart, all your friends are going further and further away from you. And slowly, like that, a once good man, a once honored man is turned into nothing but a tiny speck of dust, and nothing can be done to bring him back because you're in too deep. No one has sat you down, no one has been there for you to talk to because you've not offered them the space and the room to come into your life and enable you with that helping hand.
So men should learn to seek for help.
I think we should learn to enable ourselves to feel things. We should learn to enable ourselves to seek for that help when needed. In that brief moment of weakness, we should enable ourselves to open up to someone and tell them, look, hey, I'm in this situation in life and I'm not in a good place. I need your help.
Okay.
And I think in that situation, we make our life better for each and every one of ourselves and don't cast burden unknowingly most times onto other people.
Okay.
Yeah.
My favorite quote in this book reads, your life cycle at every stage dictates that you remain under specific conditions in order for you to survive. For instance, if you are at an egg stage, if you're an egg, don't behave like an embryo or chick. Allow yourself time so you can develop further and then you can successfully get to the next stage. Be humble. So that basically it speaks to not stretching your abilities.
Yes, and it also, I think, in the way that I've perceived it when I once read through it some time back, is in a way that you must not overstray in terms of your limits. You must know where you stop in terms of the way you hold and receive people. If you are, let's put it in terms of like an age difference, that egg is the final stage. Like before, that's after the embryo has been produced. But many times you will see little boys or young men overstraying in terms of their responsibilities and, let's say, outbusting to an elder because you feel like you're big and you cannot be touched. Teenage boys most especially, and you see them lashing out to a father or a mother. So in that case, I think the phrase is trying to tell you to
Stay humble, yes.
Know your place, know what stage of life you're at, and be vigilant in a way that you do not perceive yourself or come off as rude to other people.
What's your other favorite quote from here? Because I have two.
Yeah, the other quote about what I liked is one of the quotes that I had read in that book was, you must allow someone, once you're typing and you're online, you must allow someone to respond. You must give them time to give you a response to a question that you've asked, or in a conversation that you're having. Do not pour out everything and think you know everything. And in this case, I think in real life, the way I would understand it, the way I would analyze it is that many times we think we know more. Many times we don't allow another person to give their side of the story. So in the time of thinking that you already know everything and everything is offered to you at hand, you jump to conclusions. Just conclusions you jump to many times, Francis, are not the solution to what you've been looking for. Many times you will end up losing a relationship with someone over something that you could have talked about and something that you could have asked and waited for an answer, because many times we'll ask for something and we'll already give its answer there, like, I know this is happening, without actually giving the person time to explain themselves and tell them, look, hey, this is not what you think, let me explain myself so that you can understand. Because many times you're going to jump to a conclusion. That conclusion you've jumped to is going to break a relationship when you could have simply just opened up someone and told them, I'm having a problem with you here. Someone said this and that. Is that true? Could you elaborate more on what you were doing with this person? And in that case, I feel like you would create a space where someone is free with you and will tell you something. And maybe if your suspicions were right, well and good, because the person has now opened up to you and told you that, yeah, this happened. But in a case that something never happened and now you are instigating that it did happen, for someone who is looking for peace and someone who does not want to overstray, I would look and I would step back and I'd be like, you know what, take what you want, because I've tried to express myself, but it does not look like you're going to give me space to open up to my and give you my opinion upon this topic. And it will just be you and your opinion about what you think happened, and you'll be the one dying with that sorrow and anger about a specific situation, and you'll never come out of it.
That's interesting. So actually that quote it's here. It says, here is something seemingly small but about online etiquette.
Yeah.
But it's very important. So, son, while chatting with someone, be kind enough to slow down when you notice him or her typing back. It's called patience. Be patient. It allows you to respond better with an understanding of the issue at hand. So, what are your expectations? You're going to Nairobi. Nairobi is a new environment. I was there for some time studying. And clearly, when I went there, it's within the East Africa region, but the people are different.
Yeah.
The environment is slightly different.
Yeah.
What are your expectations going to Nairobi?
I'm expecting a totally new culture, different kind of people from the ones that I've been interacting with. The style of living, the way they handle themselves, the tone of speech, not to be perceived as rude, but not to be perceived as too weak also.
You have to be, actually, Nairobi, you have to be too strong.
I know, so I have to adapt as a soft-spoken person.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just expecting a whole new kind of living for myself as a person who hasn't been out of Uganda all my life. I'm expecting a lot, meet new people, meet new cultures, new food, interact with people and share minds from different kinds of societies.
You have to be ready for akawonga.
I know, people have been telling me.
Ugali and sukuma wiki.
Yeah. I have to adapt and live with
street here and you're like, what's that? My guy. You're a flat kid.
I know, not flat kid. just like what I like. Just like what I like.
You're going to eat this stuff. At some point you'll have to eat some. Have you eaten beans and maize in the mix together? Have you
Never.
My guy, it's going to be one of your real.
We'll get to see when I get there. We'll talk. Sure.
Yeah, I text you. You tell me some of the things that you'll have seen there.
Yeah.
But that aside, I think Nairobi is a beautiful place to be at, and I think the education. Strathmore is a good university.
Yeah.
I think it ranks the same with Aga Khan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're definitely going to be in good hands. So what do you want to be after you're done with your? How many years is your course?
My course is 4 years. My course is called Bachelor of Science in Informatics and Computer Science. I want to pursue software engineering after the 4-year course.
You're doing it, you want to pursue it in Uganda?
Hopefully anywhere that is well and financially stable by the time I'm done will suit for me. Okay. I'm not well focused on living because I just want to live within my means, but if a good opportunity comes outside, I'm well and okay to receive it.
Okay. Any fears, like the environmental fears from...
right now in Kenya, things are not good as I see on social media, the riots and all that. I just don't want to be caught in the crosshairs and the crossfires of all that. So I just want to find my peace, want to be able to understand the way things are done, not to be cheated in terms of prices, not to meet the wrong kinds of people in disguising.
They're going to, let me tell you, you're talking about prices.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, in one way or another, you have to be cheated.
Yeah, but that's my hope that I am cheated, because I want to learn in a way that I do not make the same mistake more than once.
I like that.
See, like when it impacts you very negatively and gets to your heart, you can never forget that kind of pain. So you get to understand and learn.
All right. Okay. Apart from that, I think I would say this conversation is not only going to benefit the young people, but also big people, especially fathers and mothers who care to listen. Because speaking to you, I felt like I was listening to a griot. And during the break, we found out that a griot is a person in Africa, African culture, who everyone used to come and tell stories
For them to pass on to the
for
other
them to pass
generations.
to the next generations. So they were like a walking library.
Yeah.
So I'm really, I would love to take this moment to, give the credit to your mother. Miss Miriam Kaamate Indianabo, you've really done a great job raising a man like this. So this is what should be done, because while in your search for a woman or whoever you want to settle down with, I believe you're going to be the kind of man that knows what they want, and definitely you're going to try to look out for a high quality, high value woman. Do you look at yourself as a high value man?
I do. I hold myself in high regards. I wouldn't put myself and lower my standards to a point that I'd have to be lower than I would want to be.
What are some of the things you hope to look out for in whoever you end up with in future?
Just being open in a way that I can express myself freely, in a way that I can express my vulnerabilities and enable myself to be helped and accept.
So you need to find someone that is that kind.
Yeah.
Okay. What message do you have to your mother?
I want to say thank you, Mom, for enabling me to grow myself, enabling me to have enough space to understand my own emotions and feelings, but also coming in once in a while to correct me and make sure that I do not stray from the path that you would have wanted me to follow. I also want to thank you for enabling me to have this platform with this nice guy, Francis, and our producer, Joshua. I want to thank you for enabling me to express what you have inculcated in me, and I hope that this touches as many hearts as it is supposed to.
Can you sign out? Because
Yeah.
you have the mic.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and I hope this was very fruitful and joyful enough as for you to watch as it was for me to share with him.
All right, guys. This is episode 11. I believe and hope that you guys are going to enjoy this. From me to you, from this gentleman, from Day, from Joshua, from me, from Chief, to you guys, man. Have a beautiful day watching this.